That was Jagged Edge. Something came across my timeline. It was very interesting. It was an article by the Los Angeles Times. And in this article, they laid out that several officers of the Torrance Police Department were involved in racist texting and threats and against black people, of course, against Mexican people, against gay people. It's interesting in that, I mean, it's obviously an all too common occurrence. But Torrance is particularly emblematic of something I've always believed. I grew up in Los Angeles, and in an area called the Fives. It was 135th and Avalon, and there used to be a place. It was called the Del Amo Mall. At that point, it was the largest mall in the country. And to get to the Del Amo Mall from where I lived, you could go down Rosecrans, get on the 110 freeway, turn on Torrance Boulevard, and it would take you there. It was the most expeditious way to get there, right? But what we had to do, because we were black and knew we would get harassed all the time by the Torrance Police Department, we'd go down Rosecrans all the way to Hawthorne Boulevard, and you would circumvent all that. Because every single time we went through, you were either beaten up, harassed, pulled out. They let you know that you were not to come through. They said, "Nigga, don't come through here." Now, those are exact words, and it happened several times. So imagine that I was a kid. I'm 58 years. I'm a kid some 40 some years ago, a teenager some 40 some years ago. And these types of things are still happening. As a matter of fact, the Los Angeles Times did an expose on it. And it only came to light when the district attorney who tried to suppress the racist text, made it, because of a fumble like that, a legal fumble, he made it public record. What does it say? And Torrance is specific. It is a bedroom community of Los Angeles. It was populated by middle class white people who did not want niggas there. And imagine now, some 50 years later, because the officers who at one time harassed us and terrorized us, they're not there anymore. But what they did was leave a legacy to the younger officers to follow. I can't imagine that any of those officers are still in the streets. They're probably either dead or administration or retired, but they left their mark. It is their crest. Violence and bigotry and hatred is their crest. And the reason I bring this up, because now we're talking about policemen. We're talking about what it means to be police. So if you know that 50, 60 some years ago, you had to give up millions of dollars, and they still get sued to this day a lot. Because of civil rights violations, brutality, all this stuff. So nothing's changed substantively. So that means that being a racist is not an impediment to you getting a job there. That means that being a bigot doesn't stop you from working there. That also means, it means one or two things. Either it isn't an impediment or it is an accoutrement. It is something that augments your chances of getting the job there. Because the young men who are now perpetrating racism and bigotry and brutality are much younger. So it was systemic there. It was the way it was. It was taught to them. Those officers now were probably trained by officers who were trained by the very officers who at once harassed me when I was a kid. And the several people. As a matter of fact, it was so bad. I remember giving a concert. I was at Redondo Beach Performing Arts Theater, and it was filled with black people. And I remember saying, "I bet you guys didn't go through Torrance Boulevard." And the audience erupted for 15 minutes because they knew exactly how it was. Now forward that these many years later, when those types of things are still going on. And I bring this up because this is a time where we're having conversations about what to do with policing. There have to be things that we do not accept. The legacy of hatred and brutality and racism that was passed down from one officer to another and is ingrained and enshrined in the fabric of those departments perpetuates itself all over the country. It's not just Torrance and a bedroom community outside of Los Angeles. It's outside of New York and outside of Dallas and outside of Minneapolis and outside of Chicago. Because we have not made it unacceptable to be a bigot and a racist and have a badge. As a matter of fact, it is a tool. It is something that they want you to have. If we cannot change the people around us, if we can't change what they do, Chuck D said it best, and it really pertains to this, especially when it comes to policing. If we cannot change the people around us, we have to change the people around us. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the DL Hughley Show.